Chancellor for Research here at CCSDedu.
Well, thank you. Those kind words. And I do have to warn you with this presentation, I'm a professor, right? Everybody knows what a professor is. That's somebody who talks in somebody else's sleep, right? So I will try to make this interesting. But I'm here to talk about research at UCCS. And Brian, is it okay to get started? Okay?
It's not my show, it's yours.
I'm not going to look the highest ranking official. So you're in charge.
Audience, here to learn, sir.
All right. So, yeah, and I have a clicker. I come prepared. So you are a Boy Scout. You could have helped me with this. I just discovered that my battery is dead, and the only way the clicker works is if I hold it right above the space bar. See, look at that.
New clicker on its way.
Oh, great. So what do we mean by research? So I extracted some things from the Oxford English Dictionary. It's a systematic investigation or inquiry aimed at contributing to knowledge of a theory, topic, etc. by careful consideration, observation, or study of a subject. So it's pushing the boundaries of basically any area that someone chooses to work in. So everything is fair game for research. And the question is, are you expanding the boundaries of knowledge? In particular, the second definition I liked a lot, original, critical, or scientific investigation carried out under the auspices of an academic or other institution. So it's embedded in the role of an institution, an academic institution, to do research. And so it's something that we need to pay attention to. And why is research important? And there's a lot of words up there that I wrote, but I see it as being at the very heart of what a university is about. The university is supposed to be a community of scholars that get together to pass along information to the next generation, but also expand the boundaries of that knowledge, and it's supported by an administration that creates the proper environment for that all to happen. And so at the very heart of what we're doing at the university is research that then gets transmitted. And I would say that there are many fine teachers at community colleges and other institutions around the country, but what distinguishes a university from those places is this mission to do research. And it has benefits for our students and for our greater community that we're serving as a nonprofit institution. So even though Dr. Burnett does a great job of keeping the money flowing, he's always mindful that we are a nonprofit institution with a mission to serve our culture. And we do that. So how does it benefit our students? Well, if we think about waves of innovation that are known to happen, you can look over the last few hundred years, and we can see that people's lives get transformed in these waves of technological change. And right now we're in a wave that people call digital networks, new media, software. But by this accounting of these waves being compressed, they come faster and faster. We need to be ready for what the next wave is going to be. And it's through original thinking and research that we prepare ourselves and our students for what that next wave is going to be. And I know what it is, but if I told you, then I couldn't capitalize in the stock market the way I plan to. Another way of looking at this kind of phenomenon, I found this graph on the internet, and it shows the rate of adoption of various technologies. And it's got refrigerators on here. And on the horizontal axis, it shows time, dating from 1900 through the present. On the vertical axis is how many years did it take for the adoption in a certain percentage of U.S. households. So at the top would be 100% of U.S. households adopt these technologies. And if we just pick two out to demonstrate how this graph works, and we look at the telephone took about 90 years to reach a saturation of 90% of U.S. households. But we can contrast that with the cell phone. It only took 20 years for 90% of Americans to be using the technology. And what we have is a situation where this change is happening so fast that there's a premium on giving people things they don't even know exist yet. And we discover that through this process of research and thinking about how we're benefiting our society. And for our students, no longer is it Mr. Rat who says, oh, not bad, the light comes on, I press the bar, they write me a check. How about you? We now want to turn out our students as being ready for this kind of new environment where creativity is a highly prized ability. And I think research is how we embed that skill in our students. So since research is vital, and I hope I've convinced you that somehow it is an important activity, it is an important part of every faculty member's job on campus. There isn't a faculty member here who doesn't have research as part of what he or she is expected to do. Second, it's part of our statutory mission of UCCS. A couple of years ago, the regents saw fit to make research an essential part of the mission of UCCS, and we want to make sure that we live up to that statutory mission. And since it's vital, we have an Office of Research, which is dedicated to helping faculty from all disciplines be successful in this thing we call research. And you can go to this website and find all kinds of handy things. Now, presumably, I ought to be able to go there, right? Well, maybe I can't. But if I could, you would be impressed. Anyway, we do have a website around research, and it's that Office of Research in our function that I want to primarily highlight today for you, so you can not just know what kind of things are going on, but how the university has a commitment to support a vibrant research culture on campus. And just some of the things that are currently going on at your research university that you can be proud of. First of all, I have our chancellor at the top of this list to highlight, because I think it is important that the, thanks. If you could just plug that in places.
It's not compatible, but
I think it's great that our leadership has not just a dedication to support research on campus, but Chancellor Shockley is engaged in research herself. I think she just published her 6th book. We have Gene Abrams and David Kolicki, and Dave is right over here. They are working on analyzing STEM education and looking at the benefits of intentionally getting K-12 students involved in STEM education and the outcomes that come out of that. And he's being funded by the research to continue these efforts in order to figure out good models with getting STEM education working in our area. Katie Kopkinen, who is sitting right here, wave to everyone. Professor in public affairs, and just doing a lot of work looking at the effects of domestic violence, both on the people who are participating, but also on children who are exposed to domestic violence, in hopes of coming up with intervention strategies to help those kids. Kelly Klebe, who serves as our who serves as our dean of the graduate school and a professor of psychology, is doing work in prisons. And I find it very interesting. She's looking at the effects of folks that we keep in these supermax solitary confinement situations and the potential ramifications that we may not want in those kinds of situations. Professor Killian is sitting right back there. And Jenny is doing interesting work looking at neurons and brain formulation and the expression of genes and how that affects densities of neurons and neural function in hopes of helping, is that accurate? Helping people that suffer from various neurodegenerative situations. Professor Webb is here too, right there. Rebecca is looking at some ways of harnessing solar energy that would be cheaper than solar panels. So solar panels have a lot of drawbacks. In fact, in many instances, they don't really pay for themselves over the life of the thing. But she's using materials that absorb energy, melt, and then as those materials re-solidify, we can extract the heat energy out of them. Is that true? And how is that going to work? You can do the next forum. Right? Professor Rex Walshan, who's also the Associate Dean over in LAS, is doing fascinating work And those of you who picked up a magazine on the way in, you'll see there is a story about Professor Welsham. And I like his interdisciplinary approach. Although he's a philosopher, he's very interested in the physiology of how the body and brain work and what the interplay is that with what we call the mind, and thinking of models related to how we know the brain works and its implications then for who we are as individuals and people. So if you're feeling... and then the last one, Mary Cousins-Reed, who is the newest faculty member on campus. In fact, so new she doesn't actually start until Monday. And she is our new provost. And she was kind enough to show up today. And as I said up front with Chancellor Shockley, I think it's terrific that the leadership of the university is involved in research. And Dr. Cousins-Reed is doing some work looking at the effect of stress on pregnant women and the resulting stress, both on the outcomes of mothers and their children as a consequence. And I don't know if you wanted to say something to us, your new subjects, as you're moving forward.
New subjects? Well, I just wanted to say hello to those of you who I haven't met. I'm really excited to almost be here. And I just am really excited, particularly to have the opportunity to learn about what the campus does in terms of research and to think about how we can all sort of move this mission forward, particularly in terms of how it supports students and student learning and teaching. So, and if you're going to get pregnant, or if you are pregnant, if you know someone who's pregnant, stress, bad. So relax. So there you go. Bottom line.
So how about just a little data, since we're talking about research. This is supposed to be the comedic part of the program. If you don't laugh now, you never will. If we look since fiscal year 2003 at the participation of our faculty in research, you can see the mustard-colored graph shows that we have more faculty on campus engaged in sponsored research than ever before. And we're sponsored research where we bring money from outside the university to support work that's going on here is by no means the only measure of research success. It is an important one because money makes the world go round, and when Katie wants to do her work, she needs money to support the activities that she's doing. So she is active as one of these people, but I'm encouraged that more than ever people are writing grants and bringing in funds to support their activities. The number of proposals is also up. And down here, I just excerpted some information that shows the sources of the funding that we get. And we get a higher percentage of our funding from non-federal sources than do most institutions, which 5 years ago would have been a bad indictment on getting money because most of it was flowing from the feds. But now that the federal government is contracting and universities all over are talking about how do we find new sources of funding to support faculty research, look at that. We're already on the leading edge of the curve, having figured out how to form partnerships and collaborations with companies, other universities, and local entities. So about the Office of Research and Innovation, we have a number of activities. I wanted to highlight three. One, we coordinate programs and activities to help foster research on campus, to support the people who are doing research. We administer sponsored grants and contracts, and then we ensure compliance with all the laws and regulations connected with the conduct of research. This third one is turning out to be more and more onerous all the time as the federal government puts more and more requirements on how we do this. I have an excellent team working directly with me, and lots of people across campus are helping, but I have Gwen Gennaro, who's sitting right over there. And Gwen's been working here for like 7 years now, and she does a fantastic job. And I can't say enough about how she stays abreast of all the things she needs to, and I enjoy working with her. Mike Sanderson, who, I guess he's sick.
He's an export control.
Oh, that's right. He's out of town at an export control workshop, learning about all the ways we can end up in orange jumpsuits should we allow research to filter into the wrong areas. And so Mike handles all the compliance issues. I'll talk about those briefly. And then the newest member in our office is Ali, and many of you have had a chance to meet her. And she's right down here. She passed out the magazines that no doubt you want to take home and gather the family around the fireplace and read. So here are some of the activities, and I'm just going to quickly run through these one at a time. If you have a question about any of this that's quick, just ask me as we go through. The first one is Mountain Lion Research Day, and Beverly Wassinger, who is right back there, she coordinates activities of an entity on campus called EPIC, and EPIC has the job of coordinating Mountain Lion Research Day in collaboration with the Office of Research. And this is going to be held this year, Friday, April 5th, in the Gallagly Event Center, and everyone is invited. So please come, and it's supposed to be a campus-wide discussion about research that's going on campus. And it's grown every year. This will be our 5th year of doing this. And the first year we started with 60 posters, and this year we have over 100 posters that will be presented by people on campus who are doing work. And it's meant to be a time where you can walk around and see all of the exciting, vibrant things that are going on as a way of communicating research across campus. And I'm excited about that number of posters. We'll also have some keynote speakers. 3 of our own faculty will talk a bit about the work they're doing, and then we have a keynote that will be fascinating coming in from outside. We have some internal grant programs where we help faculty with money to do work. The most important of these we call CRCW, which is the Committee on Research and Creative Works, and they receive anywhere from 30 to 50 applications from around campus to do seed grant projects that is either in a new area of research for that person or maybe a new faculty member, and we're helping them to get started. We can make about 10 awards or so a year, and the dollar amount on those is about $7,500. And it is a seed grant program where we do encourage recipients to use the money as an investment to then seek external funds from elsewhere. We also have a new, I didn't mean to jump yet. We have a new program that will be kicking off this year. And Dr. Welshin is heading up an initiative to focus on supporting work in the humanities with creative works. They historically don't have as many sources for funding as a lot of the other departments do. So we're going to see if we can't develop a special program to support those activities. We have a celebration of research, which is a reception that we have every fall. And it is a recognition for people who expend energy to make our research enterprise work. And we also present awards at that time for milestones of success. We have $1 million club to recognize people who have in sponsor programs brought in at least $1 million of funding. We have a $5 million club with some members in it, just again as an expression of thanks for people that put forward extra effort. And that doesn't just include the researchers and faculty. We also invite people from around campus. Gwen moderates a group called SPAN, which, I don't know, I worked with her for about a year. I thought she was saying spam. I thought it was like a Monty Python get-together to watch some old episodes or something. Actually, it's a sponsored program administrator network, and she works with people across campus who participate in making the sponsored research program effort run and supporting faculty in many ways. And we certainly want everyone to know that we appreciate what they're doing. We have a grant writing workshop to support faculty. And it's a 2-part workshop that we run every April and May, where we help faculty navigate that sometimes daunting process of identifying an opportunity to apply for, and then getting a grant, and then helping them administer the grant and the process. And we have some incentives in place for people who participate in that grant writing workshop. Another thing that's new this year, we have a statistics workshop that's going on. Dr. Clevey has taught one of the sessions in that, but Professor Brandon Gavitt in psychology is heading this up in response to researchers across campus looking for some shared resources to help them write successful proposals. In this case, it's support with statistical analyses to evaluate data that'll be collected. So we hope to expand that based on our experience this year to provide other shared resources to help people work together. Okay, that's what I just said. Undergraduate Research Academy. This is one that I am very excited about. And, let me back up. This is quiz time. But this is a new initiative that we're looking to get more undergraduates engaged in faculty research. Now, there is an organization called the Undergraduate Research something. What is that called? Council. Undergraduate Research Council. Lots of universities across the country have programs aimed at getting undergraduates exposed to research. But the focus is getting undergraduates exposed to research, which is great for an undergraduate. Our program is going to be a little different, and that is it's going to focus on faculty by helping them figure out how to engage undergraduates in their research program to move the research program forward, knowing that the students will benefit in that kind of arrangement. And so we have the dual benefit of the faculty publishing papers and being able to get data for proposals in addition to benefiting the undergraduates as they get a great experience working with a faculty member. And I think faculty actually are more invested in a student when that student is producing something that's on their critical path for success rather than an add-on and something they want to do. So this program is coordinated by Professor Webb and Tom Christensen, who used to be the Dean of LAS, in order to, at first, develop best practices looking at what people are doing on campus right now that is successful and developing some guidelines that can be shared so other people can figure out how to intentionally engage undergrads. And here, this is the quiz time. Can anybody tell me what this picture represents? Anybody? Oh, fine. This is Michelangelo before he went to the famous artist school. And it's just supposed to represent, can we teach people how to be creative, how to do research? And I think the answer is yes. And we need to think about that and not just have classes where we're transmitting that tried and true knowledge, but we're also transmitting the ability to be creative and finding out new things. So it is a new initiative. We are disseminating these best practices. And the best of all, to get this kicked off, we are providing actual money. So the students who participate in this program will be paid a stipend to work for a faculty member for 10 hours a week during the academic year and then 30 hours a week in the summer, just to show that we're serious about providing real support. And if somebody isn't performing well, then they lose their support and they learn another valuable lesson. And finally, Research Innovations Magazine. Everybody got a copy of that when you came in. This was the fifth issue of our magazine, and we mailed that out to about 300 institutions across the country in order to let other people know about exciting things that are going on at UCCS. So when Dr. Killian was featured in that magazine, she just got cards and letters from everywhere, right? Acknowledging the good work she's doing. I may be embellishing that one point a little, but nothing else during the presentation. Administering sponsored grants and contracts. Here we help people identify funding opportunities. And we do this on a one-on-one basis primarily, although it's also part of our grant writing workshop, where we will help faculty figure out a good match for a place they could seek support from external funding for the projects they do. Help with proposal submission, including budgets, forms, subcontracts. Gwen's actually spends the bulk of her time actually dealing with faculty and helping them figure out when they're doing their budget, what is the fringe benefit rate on a postdoc who was only here for 3 months, one of those months being in the summer, right? Absolutely. What is that? we work to educate the university community about our policies and procedures around research, which do change from time to time. We work with the grants and sponsored programs accounting people to facilitate the post-award activities. And we have a terrific accounting office that will work with faculty to figure out how they can use the money the way it's intended to when they get a grant funded, and also make sure they're not off buying yachts, so we end up getting in trouble. And Brad Bailey and Melinda Hamilton are the two primary support that we get, and we appreciate them mightily. We work with the Office of Technology Transfer in the commercialization of new ideas. And when we have faculty that are making new discoveries in the research they're doing, and there's a way to transfer that to a commercial use, we help them figure out that process. And the university actually has a very nice profit-sharing plan for faculty who participate in that. And let's go back. Again, I won't try to go there, but there is a special website just for the Office of Sponsored Programs that have all the forms on it and all the information. And when faculty need to get boilerplate information about the size of the university and our computing resources and the library, it's all available online that they can cut and paste into proposals. And then finally, to ensure compliance with all the laws and regulations connected with the conduct of research, I mentioned this is getting to be kind of more and more onerous, and it is. There are a number of issues around complying. First, obviously, we maintain all the records around research, and we keep these for many years, so if the feds come in and audit us, we can tell them exactly what's going on at UCCS. We have something called an IRB here. Some of you have interacted with our Institutional Review Board, and this is a group of faculty, and some of you have even participated, a group of faculty that review all protocols for research that involve human subjects, because we want to make sure that when it comes to doing research with people, that we protect their identity, we protect their health, and all of the things that go along with dealing with people. And this board sees about 250 actions per year, which is a lot. And we have a chair and co-chair, and neither are here today because they're off reviewing protocols as we speak. Export controls is an interesting subject, and this is the US government says you can't, UCCS, you can't just let the results of your research slip into the wrong hands. The problem is we have a hard time getting them to tell us whose hands are wrong and what constitutes the information that shouldn't end up there. So as you mentioned, Mike Sanderson is off at a conference right now to hopefully educate himself more on export controls and what that means for us. We have an IACUC committee, which is the Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee for work that is done using animals. We want to make sure that they are treated in a humane and right way. So Dr. Killian does that work with fruit flies I mentioned. She's careful to give them, gentle music and yes, a little Prosecco in the evenings. We have our Institutional Biosafety Committee that makes sure that everyone is safe dealing with chemicals in the process of doing research. And that group makes sure that we dispose of things properly that needing disposal. Professor Burning has this problem of having bags of bio-waste over in biology constantly, right? You still taking those out in your trunk? It's just awesome. And then finally, RCR, which is the responsible conduct of research. Ethics in research is more and more on the radar screen of various funding agencies, particularly the federal government. And we need to make sure that when we're doing research, it's in a responsible and ethical way. So we run an annual program that helps educate our community in the various aspects of the responsible conduct of research. Wow, I talked really fast. I tend to do that loud and fast when I don't get enough sleep. But now is the time where you get to ask questions about what's going on with research at UCCS. Anything? Thank you. I wasn't expecting it to be quite that broad. Well, we actually have lots of interesting things going on. One of our newest initiatives is something called the BioFrontiers Initiative, which is something that we are doing in concert with the University of Boulder. There's a Nobel Prize winner by the name of Tom Cech, who, after winning his Nobel Prize, he was off elsewhere. He has returned to the University of Colorado because he actually not just has a love for research, but he has a love for transmitting research to undergraduates. And he has created an entity called BioFrontiers. And UCCS is participating with Boulder as a sister institution in order to move research forward in the area of biosciences. And our niche here is biophysics. So our physics department is actually taking the lead in this because the Boulder people, although have a heavy presence in biology and chemistry, they didn't have anything on the physical sciences side, so it seemed to be a good complement. And we got a nice internal support that is helping to hire postdocs, which are people typically with PhDs who are looking to get more experience before either working in academia or industry to help move that initiative forward. So that's one exciting thing. And one thing that I really like about the BioFrontiers program here is there's a commitment to make it interdisciplinary. So they're reaching out and helping to fund projects outside of physics and not just restricting it to the physics faculty. Other exciting things that I'll mention is we do have on the horizon the potential for expanding our research in medical arenas. And I think that this will greatly benefit Bethel with their health science program and other departments on campus as the University of Colorado takes over Memorial Hospital. And we look to start having medical students down here doing their 3rd and 4th year programs with physicians in the Colorado Springs area. I think it will present a lot of opportunities for our faculty to get involved with local healthcare providers who want to do research. And to support all of this, no doubt you've seen the new Lane Academic Health Science Center that's going up on North Nevada. And that will be a place where we can try out new models of integrated healthcare in order to provide people with not just a traditional show up and get a prescription and leave kind of model, but something that will consider a whole health approach to healthcare that we hope we can develop here and then export to the rest of the country. So we'll see how that shapes up. And there's a lot more, but I don't have time. Yes?
Can you tell us a little bit more about the Undergraduate Research Academy, how many students will be involved, what's the requirement on them? I'm trying to pitch it to some students that they want to know.
Okay, well, I mentioned that Rebecca Webb is heading this up, so if you would like to talk about it, you can. If not, I'll be glad to.
So just general requirements. What people are looking for are students who not only they're interested in it, doesn't have passion. So that's what we want to listen to their persistence. So we've asked for it to be there in the summer. And so we asked for them to supply the undergraduate material. And a 2-page proposal
No, I'm voting for you.
Now you have all the information, and it's all on the website as well. Are you
Any other questions?
So how do you think this sequestration is going to affect all of this in the next?
Well, that is a great question. Certainly, the Department of Defense is looking at significant cuts. I'm not an expert in this area, but I do know that a lot of defense subcontractors will suffer mightily because as the DoD attempts to conserve the money that is being cut, it will be the contractors that will be the first to go. It's not really clear how this will spill over into federal funding, but on that front, I'll mention that we do have this strength of already figuring out how to find alternative sources of support for faculty work. So hopefully we're in a good position to weather that, and we're not going to see anything severely curtail the efforts of our faculty. But I don't know, does anybody else have any?
I'm funded through Justice Department, and so we, as current grantees, got our notifications that grants that were funded, prior to FY 2013 would not be cut, which initially we thought we might actually have to get money back, but that going forward 13, so they had already released RFPs, but they're now saying that they will not be funding them to the level that they did in 12, yet it was unclear whether they were going to cut the number or whether the level of funding. So we were all warned. I decided not to reapply and instead to ask for a request extension, but so hopefully by 14 we'll get reapplied. But we were already warned, last week basically we got that. If you were currently or had already applied to 13, so.
And having worked in the government, usually when these things happen, there is more of a contraction than there needs to be because there is this panic and people feel they need to hoard what resources they get. And so at the end of the fiscal year, there probably will be a flood of money coming out as people realize, oh no, if I don't spend it this year, I won't get it again next year. So, any other questions?
What kind of opportunities will a high altitude track bring for research?
The university has some very aggressive plans to develop the North Nevada area, and one of those is a lot of sports-related emphasis, and this would be both a resource for our community to support Colorado Springs as a sports destination, and the university can be a partner with lots of things going on. But in addition, it would be a great potential resource for faculty doing research in the area of human performance. If we had the highest track in the world, North America, or North Nevada,
One of the highest.
yeah, one of the highest. In order to assess human performance, we have faculty members, including Dr. Berman that I pointed out earlier, who are looking at various aspects of athletic performance, sports medicine, which spill over to a lot of other areas. So I think it would be, if a high altitude track comes in, I think it would be a win-win for the community and for research here at CCS to give us, if nothing else, an attractor for well-qualified potential faculty who could join us who could use a resource like that in research. I can tell you I won't be running with it. So personally, it means nothing.
Dr. Sabudi also does high altitude radiometry.
Yes. He's not here. Yeah, so much.
He's in a high altitude physiology.
Oh, he is, okay. Yeah, Dr. Andy Sabudi and Dr. Jeff Broker is also doing a lot with human performance studies. Any other questions? All the interesting things we're learning from the question time. One more? You can go if you ask one more question. Yes!
Is there a place on any of the websites of all of the research projects that are currently
that a leading question? Of course there is.
To read about what's going on?
Yeah, and that actually was the website that I tried to pull up. So I'll just describe it to you. If you go to www.uccs.edu/research, you will find a link to all of the current funded research projects on campus. Now, there are other research projects that are going on, but I have a hard time tracking those because it doesn't have to come from my office. If Dave is doing something kind of on the side and treating a proton diffraculator, I have no way of knowing if it's not either funded research or requires foreign travel, which does also get routed through my office, or involve export controls, which I think that proton diffraculator would. We don't hear about it. So it's not necessarily a complete list, but it's a list of sponsored programs that you'll find there. You'll also find archived stories like the ones in this issue of the magazine you got, so you can read about what other faculty are doing that is interesting. That's located there as well.
So it's like an abstract of what it entails?
No, it's just a listing with the faculty name, but you can contact that faculty. Might not understand what they're saying, but they'll be very excited when they say it.
Michael.
Yes.
Now on campus, we're part of VIVO, which lists all the faculty and what their research interests are. So vivo.uccs.edu. You can only get it right now while you're on campus, but sometime this summer it'll open up to the world so anybody can see it. And it lists any faculty, administrator, staff who's turned in a faculty responsibility statement. It will list all their research interests. And so then you can search by name or by topic. So you can find other people who are doing different things. So I've, had dinner wine now with a faculty member who's doing quantum physics related to leadership styles. So when
Is that a consequence of the wine?
No, so we had to have wine to figure that out. I would not be able to understand quantum physics without a glass of wine.
Okay. Well, I guess that constituted our last question. And I will just say that people talk about quantum leaps forward, but quanta are very small, so I don't know why that's a big deal to take a quantum leap forward. Thank you for coming.
How are you?
I grabbed one.